and welcome to the Dice Cup. I'm Steve and today I'm going to show you how to play a game called Marco Polo. It takes between 2 to 4 players and takes about half an hour per player in the game. In Marco Polo, you're going to be travelling across the Far East, starting in Venezia at the top here, and you're going to be travelling to different places, gaining points by travelling and gaining points by trading, fulfilling contracts on the way. The game is played over 5 rounds, and at the end of the 5 rounds the person with the most points through travelling, trading and various actions they can do on the board, who gets the most points will be the winner. To set up Marco Polo, each player is going to get one small player board. On their player board they're going to get 9 settlements or trading posts they're going to be placing on the map. They're going to get 5 dice of their colour. They're going to start with 2 camels which are used to perform various actions throughout the game. And they're going to start, well, the first player is going to start with 7 coins, then 8, then 9, then 10 for players 2, 3 and 4 should you be playing with the full complement. You're also going to start with 1 contract. There's these special blue contracts to start the game with, and each player is going to start with one of these, which are generally slightly easier to complete than other ones. And you've got space at any point on your player board for 2 contracts. When you complete a contract, I'll show you how to do it in a sec, you're going to take the contract and you're going to put it in a drawer. This is simulating a desk, and you're going to put it in a drawer down here, face down, scoring anything on the side here. As I said earlier, the game's played across 5 rounds, and the start of each round goes the same. Each player is going to take their dice in their hand, they're going to roll them, and they are going to be the values of the dice they can use this turn. If you roll fewer than 15 pips, you may take money or camels, or a mixture of both, up to the value of 15. So here I've actually rolled 11, so I'm 4 short of 15. I could take 4 coins or 4 camels or 2 coins and 2 camels up to the value of 4 to mitigate the fact that I've rolled some low numbers. Low numbers aren't that detrimental for certain actions, but for other actions they're going to restrict what you're able to do. Play is going to proceed in a clockwise order around the table, and on your turn you must do 1 main action using your dice. Okay. However, you also have this little cheat sheet which shows you some of the bonus actions you can do. Now, bonus actions, there are 5 bonus actions you can do. You may do this at any point in your turn. That might mean before your main dice placement, or after your main dice placement, or both before and after your main dice placement. The bonus actions you can do are as follows. You can at any point in your turn complete a contract. Now, a contract will show you on the contract what you need to spend. In this case I need a camel and 2 of these purple ones which are called silk, and what I gain for doing so. So I may spend 1 camel and 2 silk, and I will gain 5 coins and 3 victory points, and once I've completed the contract I put it face down in my drawer. I can do that before or after my main dice placement. Some of the other bonus actions you can do is you can spend 1 dice to gain 3 coins, and you could do that several times because it's a bonus action. You can do as many of them as you want. You may return 1 camel to the supply to re-roll any one of your dice, and again you could do that multiple times. So say I think I've got too many 1s here, I could spend 1 camel to re-roll that one, and I got a 5, I could spend another camel to re-roll a 5 again, or a different dice, and so on. Because they're bonus actions you can do as many as you want. The other thing you can do is you can spend 2 camels to change the pip on any one of your dice by 1 pip. So you could change a 1 to a 2, a 2 to a 3 or a 1, and so on and so on. That might be, if you need a specific number, a better way to go about it rather than re-rolling lots of dice. The last bonus action you can do, you can only do it once per turn, but you could do it this time, and by the time it comes around to your next go you could do it again, and that's where you may spend 3 camels to gain a black die. I'll explain black die a bit more in detail later. The main dice placement actions are found on the board. As you can see, the bottom of the board has lots of these little dice symbols on, and here is where you may place some of your die. You may also place some of your die among the top areas here, but to do that you need to have reached the city with your traveller. Again, I'll talk about that in just a moment. The first place you can go to is the bazaar. Effectively you can buy different sorts of resources. You've got a row here for camels, a row here for pepper, a row here for silk, and a row here for gold. If I want to get some camels, I will place a die in this spot here, I will place, say, my 4 die, and basically the pips on the die indicate what column you're going to be taking from. So if I place a 4 here, I will be taking 4 camels because it's the 4th row across. If I placed a 6 here, I would have taken 6 camels. Exactly the same thing works for pepper. You can place a 4 here and you take the 4th column for pepper. But when you come to getting silk or gold, you have to place more than 1 die. Whenever you place more than 1 die, the value of your lower die is the one that counts. So if I place in the silk area here, if I place a 5 and a 4 because I need to place 2 die here, I will take the action 4 because it's the lowest of the 2 die. And exactly the same thing happens when you place on the gold track. If I put a 5, a 4 and a 3 here, I would take the action of the value 3. I would get 2 gold and 2 camels. Gold is slightly more valuable. It is used for most of the contracts you get, and the big point contract especially, but you might need any of the resources, and camels are always useful for doing all these bonus actions you'll have. Some of the other spots on the board here, you can put a die here. The pip is irrelevant initially. You may put a die here and get 5 coins, which is better than the bonus action of 3 coins you can do for any die. This spot down here is the Merchants Guild, I believe, and the first person to place a die here can take 1 resource of their choice and 2 camels. Future people who place die here have to place larger or equal to the first die. So the next person would have to place at least a 5, they could put 5 there. The next person would have to place at least a 5, so they might put a 6 there. And then if there's a 4th player in the game, they would have to put a 6 because it has to be greater than or equal to 6. This bottom row here is where you get new contracts from. There are other ways to get contracts, but the most frequent one is this bottom row here. And the value of the pip you put down indicates which contracts you can pick from. So if I put a 3 down, I can pick 1 or 2 of the first 3. You can always pick 2 contracts, assuming you've put at least a 2 down, but you need to have space for them. If I don't have space for them and I take 2, I have to discard any contracts I have yet to complete on my board. So you're only allowed 2 at once, but it doesn't stop you from taking any 2 you want from here. If you put a 5 or a 6 down, you may take one of these end 2. If you take the 5, you also gain a coin or a camel. And if you take a 6, you also gain 2 coins or 2 camels. So I could put a 6 down here. I could take this contract and this contract. Because I've placed a 6, I can take any of them. And I can also, as well as taking this one, take 2 coins should I need them. Once you've taken the contracts, the rest of them slide down to make it easy for other people to buy them. The last space on the board is this travelling spot here, and as you can see you need 2 die. So if I was to place 2 die here, usual rules apply. I go on the value of the lower die, and in this case I would be going on a 1. I would spend 3 coins and I would move my person on the board 1 space. If I was to do that, I would be spending, in this case the 3 value, I would be spending 12 coins to move my person 3 times, and I'd be moving my person on the board, picking up and getting to various cities. I'll show you how travelling works in a sec, but before I move away from this, if someone else takes your spot, you can still go there, but it will cost you money. The first person to place on a spot is free, and after that you are paying the value of the pip you're putting down. So for example, say green had gone here and taken 5 camels. And then it's red's turn, and red wanted 2 camels. Red can displace green here, but he would have to pay 2 coins for doing so because his pip is a 2. Doesn't matter what green plays, red can place bigger or smaller than green, but he would have to pay for the cost of his pips. So the first person to go there has an advantage of getting it for free effectively, and then anyone else who goes there would have to pay for it. The only exception to that is this bottom slot here, where you just need to have a larger pip than the person who's already placed there. So this is why this 5 coin spot here, first person to go there will get 5 coins, anyone else who go there will effectively be paying coins to go there. So it only really makes sense if you're going there with a 1 or a 2. If I go with a 1, I would get 5 coins but pay 1 for doing so. The last rule I'll cover for dice placement is the fact you can only go on each spot once with your colour. So for example, if green had gone here and got 5 camels, green can no longer go there again, even though they'd have to pay, because they've got 2 green dice there. You can't take the same action with your coloured dice again. So if I take 5 camels, the only way for me to get more camels is to use these black dice, which I mentioned earlier. Remember, the black dice is a bonus action. It takes 3 camels to buy one of these black dice, and as soon as you buy the black dice with your 3 camels, you roll it, and therefore you can use, in this case, I can use this too for later actions. I can now, because it doesn't violate the same colour rule, if I needed more camels, I can use the black dice to take 2 more camels. I would still have to pay for doing so because I've displaced someone else's die. But the black die allows me to repeat actions I no longer are able to do because I've already taken them. If you were to replace someone travelling, say for example I've already travelled as green, if I want to travel again I would need to use 2 black die to replace myself because I can't go there with any more green die. When you travel, you'll be moving your explorer, who starts in Venezia, and you'll be moving your explorer in a point-to-point way. So basically, you will be going down paths. Each of these spots here are oases. They count as one movement to get to those, and then another movement to get beyond there. And you'll be moving, say I'm green again, I'll be moving, I could move for example 1, 2, 3, 4, that will be 4 movement points. Point-to-point basis, and the city I stop in, I can do 2 things. Anywhere I stop I get 2 things. So basically, first thing I do, if there's one of these here, I get that immediate benefit. In this case that gets me 3 camels. I will get that, and I'm the first person to get that will take it and it will be removed from the game. And the second thing you do once you get there is you take one of your trading posts from your board and place it on one of the top spots here. You can only have 1 in each city, but I've placed 1 in Karakoram. I'm assuming I've said that wrong, but there you go. That means in future turns I now have another action available to me. I have this action here, which allows me to trade 2 silk in for 3 victory points up to the number of times that I put the pip on. So for example, if I put a 3 on there, I could trade in 2 silk 3 times, in total of 6 silk for 9 victory points. The difference between these actions that are in the cities and the actions at the bottom of the board are that these actions cannot be displayed. So if I'm the person who takes that on this particular turn and someone else was in that city, they are no longer able to do that action. It's a 1 time a turn action. And each game has so many different action cards. I've put some out on the board already, but as you can see here, there are loads and loads and loads of different ones, so every game's going to be different that you play. The other thing to do with travelling, as you can see, I've moved 4 times to get to here, so I would have had to pay 12 coins and move 4 times on the travelling action. But as you can see, certain paths that go over water have money costs, so if I was to travel down one of those paths, I would have to pay money, and a lot of the paths travelling across land have camels on them. I would have to pay camels. So if you can see, if I had moved my green guy 1, 2, 3, 4, I've gone over 5 camels. So to do so, I would need to place 5 camels from my supply to go that way. The other thing you must know is that if I've gone through a city but I've not stopped there, I cannot leave a hut behind. I leave a trading post. Only if you stop there can you do so. So if I needed to stop in Moscow, I don't want to move 4. I wanted to move 2 first and then I'll later go move another 2 to get here. So they're the main cities. The other big city I'll mention is Beijing. Now Beijing, the first person to get there doesn't get a bonus, but they get to place one of their huts on a 10-point hut space. At the end of the game they'll get 10 points. The second person to go there puts their hut on 7, and then 4 and 1. So getting to Beijing first will get you 10 points. It's quite hard to do so very quickly unless you've got an ability, but getting there will get you 10 endgame points. The other thing getting to Beijing will do is at the end of the game resources are worth nothing, apart from if you're in Beijing, every 2 resources get you a point. It's not the best trade up in the world, but if you have extra stuff at the end of the game and you're not in Beijing, you're going to lose out. The other spots on the board, you may notice the big cities with these action spots here. There are these smaller towns as such. They're in blue. Okay, there are 6 of those. And if you stop off in a town, it will get you a recurring bonus. So if I was to stop off in Anxi, I would put my little trading post there, and I would immediately get 3 camels. You see this exclamation mark means as soon as I put a trading post there I get it, and the exclamation mark means at the start of every round I also get this bonus. So if you got there in turn 1 you'd get 3 camels, and then in turn 2, 3, 4 and 5 you'd get another 3 camels for a total of 15 camels throughout the game. That's a really good thing to get early on, as are any of these blue spots. The different blue spots are always in the game, these 6 ones. This one gets you 3 victory points a turn, 5 money a turn, this one gets you a camel and 3 coins a turn, this one gets you 2 resources of your choice that are different a turn, and this one allows you to use any of the others at the start of every turn. So if I got this one, it would allow me to get whatever I needed from the other ones. I could, for example, the first turn I could say I'm going to take 3 camels, and then the next turn it came around I could take 5 coins because I need coins more than camels or whatnot. There are 2 reasons you might want to travel around the board. One is to get those start of round abilities and those action spots which will get you things, points or goods throughout the game. And the other reason is at the start of the game you're going to be dealt 4 route cards. You're going to be dealt 4 route cards, and you're going to keep 2 of them. This is kind of, if you play Ticket to Ride, a bit similar to that. You're trying to get trading posts. You're not trying to connect them up, but you're trying to get trading posts in 2 different places. So if these are the 4 I've got, I might pick these 2. And I will be trying to get a trading post in Karachi and Ankshi, and I would be trying to be getting a trading post in Alexandria and Ankshi again. And you might see I've got Ankshi both times down here. So that might be good because I can pair up. I can only have to get trading posts in 3 places. If I get a trading post in these 2 places I get 7 points. If I get a trading post in these 2 places I get 4 points. And at the end, if I've met, I have 3 different places. So if I get all 3 I would get 6 end game points. I don't know if you can see that, but I would get along the bottom there, if I get 3 unique places that are on my card, I would get 6. If I only managed to get to 2 of them, I would get 3. So one way to do it is to get places that are the same on both cards, so it's easier to get at least these points here. But if you get 4 different places here, you might be able to get the 7 of the 4 points and 10 points for getting 4 unique places. You get dealt these at the start before you do anything and before you pick your special ability, which might affect what you would have picked. However, the special abilities are what really make this game different to other Trading in the Mediterranean games. As I said earlier, the special abilities in this game are what really make this game stand out. These break the rules in quite big ways. They are unique player powers, and it's the biggest case of player power envy in any game I've ever seen. You always think your power is not as good as other people's, and other people's seem insanely strong. There are 8 different powers. These 3 are slightly different depending on whether you're playing with 2, 3 or 4 players, but they do very similar things. There are 8 powers in total, and what you're going to do, not every power will be out in every game. For example, say you're playing in a 3-player game. What you're going to do, you're going to randomly take 4 powers out, and then you're going to draft them in reverse player order. So say there's 3 players, whoever's going 3rd in the game gets to pick first. They might pick this one. Whoever's going 2nd gets to pick next, they might pick this one. And whoever's going 1st gets 1 more pick. They only have 2 to choose from because going first is a slight advantage. And they might pick this one here. And those 3 powers will be the ones in the game. I'll just go through what the player powers do, but the easiest way to play and see what these do is just to play the game, and each time you play, pick a different player power. I've played this game 4 or 5 times now, and I've tried a different power each time, and I've quite enjoyed it. There's still a couple I want to try out, but I'll go through them now so you can see what they do, and you can see how much stronger they make some of the strategies in the game. Okay, I'll go through this one first. These 3 are very similar, and basically, depending on the number of players, if you are in a 4-player game, anytime someone uses the bazaar, that's to get camel, silk, gold or pepper, you get 1 of the type of good they take. So this gets you goods for free. This is very similar in a 3-player game and a 2-player game, but also the Merchant's Guild, you gain a camel if someone goes there, and if someone goes on the 5 coin slot in a 2-player game, you get 2 coins. That's just to give you a bit more when there are fewer players in the game. That's what those do. This guy seems incredibly powerful. However, he hasn't always won in the games I've played, but this guy allows you to pick the numbers on your dice. So basically, if I have my 5 green dice, I have my 5 yellow dice here, I don't roll them at the start. Every time it's my turn, I just say, I could do with a 6, and I'll pick a 6. Or I could do with 2 2s to go travelling, and I pick 2 2s. And you can pick the exact pips you want in your dice, so you don't need to spend camels in re-rolling or changing the pips. This guy here makes it free to displace someone. So if I'm going on an action that someone else has taken, usually it costs me money to go there. However, this person here doesn't pay any money to do that at all. This person here starts each round with an extra die. It's a white die, so they will start with 6, and at the start of every round they get a contract from the spare contract pile to complete if they want to do so. If they already have 2 contracts there, they need to replace one they've got down, but this person doesn't need to spend die to pick up contracts because they'll be getting 1 a turn, although they can't really pick exactly which one it is. This person here starts with 11 trading posts rather than 9, and this person here doesn't need to stop in a city to go and drop a trading post off. So remember that move I made where I moved 4 times and went through 3 places? If you were this person here, you would drop 3 huts off doing so. They also get 10 points at the end of the game if they manage to place all 11 trading posts. Most other people will get 5 points if they place 8, or 10 points if they place 9. This person here will get an additional 10 points if they place all 11. This person here, rather than starting in Venezia, will start in Beijing. So they will start the game with 10 points because they're the first in Beijing. And being in Beijing is advantageous for one big reason, is that at the bottom, under Beijing, there is a place with 3 special action cards. So this person usually, if they start in Beijing, will get there pretty early and get to use those special actions. This person here is allowed to teleport between oases. So if they're on an oasis, they can spend 1 movement point to go to any other oasis on the board. This person is able to miss a lot of the expensive movement spots with camels or money, or is also able to get to Beijing quite quickly. Also, at the start of every turn, they gain 3 coins. So this person gets you a bit of money too. Finally, Nicola and Marco Polo here, they all have names, I just haven't been able to read them upside down very easily. But this person here, Nicola and Marco Polo, start with 2 people in Italy, 2 people in Venezia. At the start of every turn they gain a camel as well, but the advantage of having 2 people is you can send the 2 people down different paths and you can split your movement amongst those 2 people. So you can use those 2 people to finish in 2 different cities, dropping trading posts off on the way. And that is Marco Polo. It's a mixture of completing contracts, trading and travelling, trying to get the best action spaces and the most goods so that you can use them in the most effective way. During the game you'll be getting points for various action spots on the board and completing contracts. Each contract's worth between 1 and 9 victory points. And at the end of the game you're going to add the victory points you've got throughout the game for the contracts you've completed. You're going to get points for the route cards that you managed to get to the different places on the board, getting trading posts out. You're going to get points if you've got to Beijing. If you've got to Beijing, you can sell goods back for 1 point for every 2 goods. And finally, whoever completes the most contracts throughout the game gets 7 points. If that's a tie, both people get 7 points, or all 3 people get 7 points should it be a 3-way tie. That's Marco Polo. I've been Steve from the Dice Cup. Thank you very much.